BQ Prime. I am Saloni Kothari, and with me I have Mr. P. Rajendran, who is the joint MD and co-founder of NIIT Limited. Congratulations on listing of NIIT Learning. I wanted to understand, how is the demerger scope going to be, and how is it going to be a value, for the create value to the shareholders as well as the company.
So this whole idea of demerger happened somewhere in 2021. We were in touch with investors. We were looking at our own business portfolio, and we found that the opportunity to grow outside the country with offerings to the enterprises, because in India we are known more for offerings to the youth for building careers, etc. But this is very different. So we found that these two have very different value propositions. The one for enterprises outside the country, and the other for the enterprises and individuals inside the country. So thoughts started then. Then we did whatever homework, and in the January of 2022, the board approved the demerger. As you know, after that it's a little bit of a walk till you get the final clearance from the National Company Law Tribunal, etc., which happened in the month of May this year. So immediately on May 24th, the demerger came into effect. Now, what it means is that now we have two companies with its own boards, and also the people are moved from one company to the other, customers move, all that has happened now. So it's an appropriate time now where every shareholder of NIIT Limited pre-demerger now gets one share of NIIT Learning Systems Limited. And NIIT Limited, to that extent, becomes a different, smaller company, and this takes one part of the share. So demerger now will offer a different kind of value proposition, in the sense that there may be a lot of people who want to invest in the training business, a lot of people who may want to invest in the enterprise business. So they have their choices as far as investors are concerned. And this, and also it's transparent. These are two different types of companies with its own different metrics, financial metrics. And we believe that it will ultimately add more value to the shareholders.
What about the revenue mix? Because a large part of your revenue mix is from the technology sector, and with slowdown in the tech sector as well as slowdown in hiring and also layoffs being announced, how has that impacted you as a company?
So now, once again, the answer from NIIT is different. Answer from NLSL is different. That is the NIIT MTS. So I'll stick with NIIT MTS. So NIIT MTS deals with multiple sectors already. So yes, tech is a big sector, but we have been for the last 15 years plus dealing with other sectors like energy, where oil and gas was primarily the one earlier, and now getting into decarbonization and the green energy part. Healthcare, life sciences, that space also. So we have basically these three and BFSI space already built in as far as MTS is concerned. And I consider that each one of these will grow. For example, recently, the European Union, as you know, is very, very pushy in terms of green energy. So there's a company called ET Energy. So there, we are one of the partners where we invested in that, and also work with them to figure out and locate the training needs. And it's huge training for the green energy sector. So as you can see in NIIT MTS, the focus is not the technology. The focus is really using the technology, the platform, and bringing in new technologies like AI. It's already there under a chief scientist who is working in the US with about 30, 40 people on bringing in the AI into the education, into the training. So to answer your question, it's not tech alone. Yeah, we are evolved from that.
So how do you see it faring for the rest of this financial year? Because you said green energy and healthcare as being a major, mix, bringing out that much of contribution for you. So how do you see that impacting at least?
So taking on from your last question, so really speaking, NIIT MTS has built a good portfolio so that the areas like tech, where we have been around for long, and the dynamics are different in terms of tech is going down or going up, or they're shifting, pivoting into new technologies. all that will keep happening. But these new spaces which we find, that's where newer type of people will also come into the company, newer type of expertise is required, and it grows. So, I mean, today the company has got people from almost 35 nationalities across, which is the US and the Europe, UK, and also some of the other European countries. So I believe that this year, um, where we have the large contracts, we already said that some of the clients are looking at what should I say, probably slowing down their revenues for some time as they gear up with their challenges. But the good news is we have got about 80 customers now, MTS worldwide. Each one of them has renewed their contracts. So that's an indicator for us when somebody does not renew. So that's a good news. And second thing is we have a visible pipeline of orders for execution, which is about 350 plus $1 million. So I think that gives us confidence about this year, but it is a tough year. There is no question about it.
So as you mentioned about contracts and this being a tough year when it comes to deals and contracts, everything. So how about the new customer acquisition as well? Because you said that obviously renewals are happening, but what about is it hard now to get new customers?
I'm not so sure because we have added new customers, and that's again another point when we talked about the diversity of the portfolio. So the new customers may not be in the same sector; it could be a new sector. So once we start working in a sector, unless there is a drop from the cloud, it takes us about 1.5 years to probably land a decent contract. And we are talking about customers who are in the Fortune 1000 typically. So I don't think there is a setback in terms of acquiring customers, but yes, the cycle for the customers to decide, even after they are convinced that this is the company we want to go with, that cycle has increased. So there will be a little tardiness in terms of signing up, but new customers are being onboarded, including last quarter.
NIIT Limited mostly has India specific, exposure. But if I'm not wrong, I think NIIT learning's more of Western. And if that is the case, I mean, how is that contribution is swinging from Western and at least some European?
Yeah, so NIT MTS evolved over time, right? 1998 or something when NIT started investing outside the country. So we started doing content delivery, content creation, which was a very big strength for us. We brought in, quality management systems there, ISO 9000 there, etc. At that time, that stood us in a good standing amongst the corporates. We were unknown at that time in the US. We set up our office in Atlanta, then worked with some large companies, some small companies. So we are known for content development. It is a very, very tough market for us coming from learning delivery to that. So now, over time, so what happens is that there is an energy company based in, let's say, Europe. Now, that company has got different types of outlets. For example, they will have exploration in many countries, they will have pipelines and delivery in many countries. So, these companies have got different types of requirements. If a safety standard changes in one country, very quickly all the people engaged in that kind of profession within the company has to be retrained. So the speed at which we can put the content together along with partners, because we are not an oil company, so we need partnership with oil related trainers to put that thing together. Then we introduce new technologies, saying that listen, you can be far more productive in training. So there are times when certain individuals, certain types of professionals have time off from their main work. So that's the time using iPad or whatever. We create simulated material so they can learn, they can use that time to learn. So looking at your question, yes, in the Europe and US and connected. Um, I think there's a lot of potential, and we are talking about a global uh, training business potential of, let's say, 400 billion. So within that, probably 10% has been in the outsourced area, and within that, 10% itself is big. Yeah. So within that is where we are playing. So the headroom is very big in the North America.
So one last question: how about the enrollments? Because as you said, mostly based on the training programs and everything. So how has that been like?
So, so like I said, in the foreign markets, which is the only place where MTS plays, there is no individual enrollment. It's always signing up with the enterprises. Then the enterprises either nominate people, or there may be some situations where you have to put up and people nominate themselves. So those enrollments are very, very different from the individual enrollments which we have in India, where you're online learning, you have to put up what we can teach online, get them in, place them in companies. That doesn't yet happen, US. Maybe we have some opportunities there, which we have to. Side by side, people must be testing small products, but it's not big at this time.
Thank you so much, sir, for sharing the details
Thank
and
you
sharing the
so much.
insights.
Pleasure.